John Stewart, the Green Lantern, who became the Green Lantern for an entire generation who never knew there was anyone else. In December 1971, Dennis O'Neil and Neil Adams introduced John Stewart in Green Lantern number 87. He wasn't meant to be the main character. He was designed as a backup, a substitute lantern who would fill in when Hal Jordan was incapacitated. But Adams had something specific in mind. He wanted a Green Lantern who reflected the actual diversity of the world, and he wanted him to look real. DC's production manager asked Adams why he was coloring John Stewart so dark. At the time, black characters in comics were typically drawn with lighter skin tones. Adams replied that most black people he knew were pretty dark, and he didn't think anyone would be offended by an accurate depiction. He based Stewart's appearance on Sidney Poitier. John Stewart was an architect from Detroit, a Marine veteran, a man who challenged authority and questioned the establishment, a deliberate symbol of black power politics in an era when comics were finally getting political. In his first appearance, he clashed with Hal Jordan, who found him too headstrong. But Stewart proved himself, and the tension between them became mutual respect. For years, Stewart remained a supporting player. He became Earth's primary Green Lantern in the mid-1980s during Crisis on Infinite Earths, and starred in his own critically acclaimed series, Green Lantern Mosaic, in the early 1990s. But his biggest moment came in 2001, when Bruce Timm chose him as the Green Lantern for the Justice League animated series. That choice changed everything. Phil LaMarr voiced Stewart as a no-nonsense ex-Marine, and for millions of kids watching Cartoon Network, John Stewart wasn't a backup. He was the Green Lantern. Many had no idea Hal Jordan even existed. The TV show made Stewart famous in a way 30 years of comics never had. One detail sets John Stewart apart from other Lanterns. He never wears a mask. He chose not to hide his identity, and his constructs are different too. As an architect, he builds them from the inside out, complete with every nut and bolt, because that's how his mind works. Black Lightning, DC's first black superhero to headline his own series, and the character who almost never existed because DC wanted something far worse. Before Black Lightning, DC had an idea for their first headlining black character, the Black Bomber. The concept, a white racist who would transform into a black superhero under stress. Comics historian Don Markstein later called it an insult to practically everybody with any point of view at all. When the editor, who approved the Black Bomber, left DC, writer Tony Isabella was asked to salvage the project. Isabella had previously written Luke Cage at Marvel. He convinced DC to scrap the Black Bomber entirely and use his own creation instead. Jefferson Pierce, a schoolteacher from the suicide slum neighborhood of Metropolis. Artist Trevor Von Eden, just a teenager at the time, designed the character's look and drew the first 11 issues. Black Lightning #1 hit stands in April 1977. Pierce was an Olympic decathlete who returned to his old neighborhood to teach at Garfield High School. Finding his community under the control of a criminal organization called the 100, he adopted a costumed identity to fight back. His electrical powers originally came from a technological belt, though later stories established him as a metahuman. The series only lasted 11 issues before getting canceled in the 1978 DC implosion, a massive cutback that eliminated dozens of titles. But Black Lightning survived as a character. He was offered Justice League membership and famously declined. He became a founding member of Batman's Outsiders team, and his influence spread in unexpected ways. When Hanna-Barbera needed a black hero for the Super Friends cartoon, they couldn't use Black Lightning due to licensing disputes with Isabella, so they created Black Vulcan instead. Isabella later wrote a pointed story where Black Lightning confronts a clueless impersonator, a thinly veiled dig at the knockoff. Jefferson Pierce's legacy continued through his daughters. Anissa became the density-controlling hero Thunder. Jennifer became Lightning. And in 2018, Cress Williams brought Jefferson Pierce to life in a CW series that ran for 4 seasons. Cyborg, the teen titan who became a Justice League founder and proved that the line between human and machine is thinner than we think. Victor Stone first appeared in DC Comics Presents #26 in October 1980, created by Marv Wolfman and George Perez just before the landmark New Teen Titans relaunch. His origin was pure tragedy. Victor was a promising high school football player with a genius-level IQ who wanted nothing to do with his scientist parents' work. Then an experiment at STAR Labs went catastrophically wrong. A creature from another dimension killed his mother and destroyed most of Victor's body. His father saved his life the only way he could, by rebuilding his son with experimental cybernetics. Victor woke up as something neither fully human nor fully machine. Half his face was metal, his limbs were prosthetics. He could interface with any technology, fire sonic blasts, and access computational power beyond any human mind. But he couldn't feel grass under his feet or be touched without cold metal meeting skin. The new Teen Titans gave Cyborg a home. Alongside Nightwing, Starfire, Raven, and Beast Boy, he became part of one of the most acclaimed superhero teams of the 1980s. The Titans were his found family, the people who accepted him when the outside world saw only a monster. In 2011, DC's New 52 reboot elevated Cyborg from Titan to Justice League founder. His origin was rewritten to connect him directly to Apocalypse and the Mother Boxes, making him essential to the League's formation. The change was controversial among longtime fans, but it reflected Cyborg's growing prominence in adaptations. The 2003 Teen Titans animated series, voiced by Khary Payton, had already made him beloved by a new generation. Payton has voiced Cyborg in over 26 different projects since. Ray Fisher brought Cyborg to the big screen in Justice League, and the character's struggle, finding humanity within the machine, remains as relevant as ever. Vixen, the first black female superhero to headline her own DC series, except the series was cancelled before it was ever published. Mari McCabe was supposed to debut in 1978 in Vixen #1. The comic was written, drawn, and ready for print. Then, the DC implosion hit, and 35 titles were axed overnight. Vixen's solo series died before readers ever saw it. The completed story was eventually published in cancelled Comic Cavalcade, one of the rarest collectibles in comics history. Mari finally made her official debut in Action Comics number 521 in July 1981, created by Jerry Conway and Bob Oxner. She appeared alongside Superman, helping him stop poachers. Fitting, given her powers, Mari inherited the Tantu Totem, a mystical artifact created by the trickster god Anansi for the ancient warrior Tantu. The totem connects its wearer to the red, the morphogenetic field that links all animal life on Earth. Mari can channel the abilities of any animal: the speed of a cheetah, the strength of an elephant, the flight of a hawk. The only condition: the power must be used to protect the innocent. Her backstory was pure tragedy. Growing up in the fictional African nation of Zambesi, Mari lost her mother to poachers. Her father, a village priest, was murdered by his own half-brother, General Maxai, who wanted the totem for himself. Mari fled to America, became a successful fashion model in New York, and eventually returned to Africa to reclaim her birthright. After her debut, Vixen made only sporadic appearances until Aquaman reorganized the Justice League in the mid-1980s. She joined Justice League Detroit and became a core member, fighting alongside heroes who didn't dismiss her as a newcomer. She's since served on multiple teams, including the Suicide Squad, Birds of Prey, and the Modern Justice League. Gina Torres voiced Vixen in Justice League Unlimited, where her relationship with John Stewart became a fan-favorite storyline. Megalyn Echikunwoke later brought her to life in an animated web series, and the Arrowverse. Steel, the man who refused to call himself Superman, even when he was the only one wearing the symbol. When Doomsday killed Superman in 1992, 4 figures emerged claiming to carry on his legacy. One wore Kryptonian armor, one was a clone, one was a cyborg with half of Superman's face, and one was a construction worker in homemade power armor who never once pretended to be anything other than what he was, a man trying to honor a hero. John Henry Irons first appeared in Adventures of Superman number 500 in June 1993, created by Louise Simonson and John Bogdanove. His name was a deliberate reference to the American folk hero John Henry, the steel-driving man who raced against a machine. Simonson wanted a hero who embodied that same spirit, human determination against impossible odds. Before becoming Steel, Irons was a weapons designer for Amertech Industries. He created the BG-60, a devastating energy weapon that was supposed to protect soldiers. Instead, it was leaked to criminals and used to slaughter innocents. Horrified, Irons faked his death and fled to Metropolis, where he found work as a construction laborer under an assumed name. One day, he fell from a skyscraper. Superman caught him. When Irons thanked him, Superman said the real thanks would be making his life count for something. After Doomsday buried Irons in rubble during Superman's final battle, he clawed his way out to find his hero dead. So he built a suit of armor, forged a massive hammer, painted the S-shield on his chest, and went to war against the gangs using weapons he'd designed. He never claimed to be Superman. He wore the symbol to honor him. When the real Superman returned, he shortened Man of Steel to just Steel. Irons got his own series which ran for 52 issues and tackled gang violence, weapons trafficking, and systemic racism. His niece, Natasha, eventually built her own armor and joined him. Shaquille O'Neal played Steel in a 1997 film that divorced the character from Superman entirely. The movie flopped, but the character endured. Static. The teenage hero who proved that representation could save an entire universe, literally. Virgil Hawkins first appeared in Static #1 in June 1993, created by Dwayne McDuffie, Dennis Cowan, Michael Davis, Derek T. Dingle, and Christopher Priest as part of Milestone Comics. Milestone was founded by Black creators who believed minorities were severely underrepresented in comics. Their solution wasn't to beg for inclusion at Marvel or DC. They built their own universe. Virgil was their Spider-Man, a wisecracking teenager dealing with homework, bullies, and the universal awkwardness of adolescence. He lived in Dakota City, a fictional metropolis that felt more real than Gotham or Metropolis ever did. The gangs weren't colorful supervillains. The cops weren't always heroes. The streets were dangerous in ways that didn't require alien invasions. Virgil got his powers during the Big Bang, a massive gang war where police deployed tear gas laced with an experimental mutagen called quantum juice. Most people exposed to it died. The survivors became bang babies, metahumans with unpredictable abilities. Virgil gained electromagnetic powers and took the name Static. McDuffie had a master's degree in physics, and he made sure Virgil's powers reflected real science. Static could generate electrical fields, magnetize objects, and fly by riding on a metal disc, his static saucer. His intelligence matched his powers. He was a geek who quoted comic books and argued about video games, and that authenticity made him beloved. Static Shock debuted as an animated series in 2000, with Phil LaMarr voicing Virgil. It ran for 4 seasons and won multiple awards, introducing the character to millions of viewers. The show tackled gun violence, racism, and gang recruitment with a directness rare in children's programming. When Milestone folded, Static was absorbed into the main DC universe, joining the Teen Titans and proving that Dakota's greatest hero could stand alongside anyone. Mr. Terrific, the third smartest man in the world, and the superhero who almost ended his own life before he began. Michael Holt first appeared in Spectre #54 in June 1997, created by John Ostrander and Tom Mandrake. His origin wasn't a lab accident or an alien artifact. It was despair. Holt was born brilliant. He was reading Einstein, Planck, and Feynman at age 6, while other kids watched Sesame Street. By 30, he held 14 PhDs, had won Olympic gold in the decathlon, and had built a tech empire worth billions. He had everything, until a car accident killed his pregnant wife Paula. Holt blamed himself. He became an atheist, convinced that no just God would allow such suffering. He decided to end his life. The Spectre intervened. The ghostly agent of divine vengeance told Holt about Terry Sloan, the original Mr. Terrific, a Golden Age hero who had faced similar despair and found purpose in helping others. Sloan had been murdered years earlier, and his legacy had died with him. Holt could revive it. Michael Holt became the new Mr. Terrific, wearing a leather jacket with fair play written on the back, Sloan's motto. He invented the T-spheres, floating orbs that could project holograms, hack any system, and provide flight when positioned beneath his feet. He also possessed one genuine metahuman ability. He was completely invisible to all electronic surveillance and technology. Holt joined the Justice Society of America, quickly becoming its chairman despite not seeking the position. He was widely acknowledged as the third smartest person on Earth, behind only Lex Luthor and Batman. Both have privately wondered if he's actually smarter than them. In 2025, Eddie Gathegi brought Mr. Terrific to the big screen in James Gunn's Superman, introducing the character to audiences who had never heard of him. The third smartest man in the world was finally getting his spotlight. If you want to see more DC history explained, subscribe.